Oh, Lord, have mercy on my goddamn soul. Like I needed more of this. Like we needed any more of this discussion, but I swear, the last 48 hours has been a trip. Mega Noob, what's going on, my man? Thank you for the compliment on the new group. It's much appreciated. Much appreciated, fam. Oh, where do we begin? Let's begin with this. Good morning to all of y'all who are just tuning in to the channel for this morning edition of Unintentional Grounding Live. A little morning coffee and a little morning NFL news for all of y'all. Really appreciate you guys coming in here and discussing football with me. It's something else, man. It's something else. But let me get to the chat and say hi to all the peeps. Ride you for the win. Unlucky Free DX. Montagious Henderson. Mega Noob. Rose Staxon. Good to see all of y'all. Rise up. Good morning to all of y'all. I know it's early, and we are going to be having a show tomorrow at 8:30 for the Falcons Nest Live, not only on the Facebook group, but also on here. So y'all keep your eyes peeled. So the last 48 hours has been an absolute clusterfuck. And I don't like to swear too much on my channel because it doesn't bring anything. But I think all of us can agree on one thing, that it has been an absolute, what's a good clean word to use for this? Dumpster fire. Dumpster fire is good. It's been a dumpster fire. It's been a hell of a ride, and not in a good way. Like you enjoyed the ride and you were like, maybe I won't do that ever again. No, this was a bad kerfuffle. Kerfuffle is a good word. Thank you, Raichu. Which, Raichu, you need to be in my admin's chat on Messenger, so you better friend me on Facebook, man. As I take a sip of coffee. Man, I need the coffee this morning. There's a lot of editing to do on some videos. But this Julio Jones situation has been such a kerfuffle. A moment of brilliance from no other person off other than somebody like Randy Savage. Tower power too sweet to be sour is the limit in space, the place, and the cream will rise to the top. Kind of stuff that I feel like I've been reading on Twitter as far as people trying to make sense of the situation. Anthony Wright and Dross 1507, good to see you guys in the chat. But that's what it's felt like, man. It has felt like everyone and their brother has a hot take on whether or not Julio Jones deserves the money, not deserve the money, whether he's being greedy or it's Matt Ryan's fault or it's other teams' wide receivers' faults. It has been, if it's not one person, it's another. People talking about 2013 stats all the way up to 2017 stats about the reason why Julio Jones is unhappy. Whew, man. And y'all know I try to keep 100. I have my moments where I have my bias, but I try to keep it 100. I try to keep race, religion, and politics out of this show 110% unless there is an absolute fact showing in front that there is one of those factors determining what is going on, pushing things forward. Every news outlet has covered it, so you're not going to hear anything different from me outside of one little tidbit that I feel that everybody in here needs to understand. Fire Falcon, good to see you in the chat, man. But I am the type of guy that when he sees drama, tries to stay away from it unless it's major Falcons news that has to be reported on. And here we are. 36 to 48 hours worth of Julio Jones is going to show up to camp after saying he's not going to show up to camp, after he said that he was going to show up to camp, after he said that Arthur Blank's got him taken care of. And then, now he's not going to show up to camp, even though he said he was going to show up to camp, even though some source from Twitter said he wasn't going to show up to camp. And then the Falcons saying they're not budging because we don't care if you're not going to come to camp. You're going to lose your own money, even though you said you were going to come to camp, even though the Twitter source said that you weren't going to come to camp, even though you said to TMZ that you were going to come to camp. And then Julio Jones turns around. If you weren't already confused by everything that I had just said just a second ago, Julio Jones turns around with the Atlanta Falcons organization after Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff get an extension, by the way, which amazing. We will talk about that in just a second. But then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Falcons make a free agent move on someone that could potentially hang with the roster as a practice squad member or something along those lines. And say that they have converted some sort of cap number that does not reflect on our number this year, lessens our number in 2019, and does not reflect on 2020's number, to give Julio Jones more money. We have not gotten a straight number from it, but some are saying $4 million, some are saying $2 million, some are saying $2 million this year and $2 million next year. So now Julio Jones will be at camp tomorrow. He will report. So if you weren't already confused enough, here's one extra piece of confusing news. Everybody's reporting this at different times. This started at 11:49 last night, or 11:59 last night, with the Atlanta Falcons social media account going, the deal's done. Julio Jones is coming to camp. And every single person in here going, what? Because usually you see Adam Schefter or Chris Mortensen or Ian Rappaport go and say something about these things. But the Falcons social media knows things before those other guys that are supposed to be the lead of social media breaks, of breaking news. They know something before any one of those three have been reporting anything. In fact, actually, Chris Mortensen, super, super important to understand. Chris Mortensen has been hitting this news faster than Adam Schefter, faster than Ian Rappaport, faster than our own beat writers, about Julio Jones is not going to camp. Julio Jones is going to camp. They have converted money. They have done this. They have not done that. Chris Mortensen's been on lock about it because Chris Mortensen says this is a big deal in the world of football. Everyone else is like, well, you know. But I found it strange that at 11 o'clock last night, almost 12 o'clock last night, that the main social media account for the Atlanta Falcons With that little blue check mark that I wish that my account had, but I don't have enough people. And and Mega Noob with the $5 donation. I really shit my man. He says Atlanta is a very stable franchise. Players will. Oop, that GIF did not load in. Hold on one second, guys. I'm gonna make sure that GIF loads in for Mega Noob. That was not right. That wasn't right. I love when the stream pauses, too. Atlanta is a very stable franchise. We'll see that they take care of their players and don't let things get out of control. Will want to come. Get out of control. Players will want to come. True. True. Suddenly I'm getting internet connections, which I thought this early in the morning I wouldn't have any problems with internet connections. Just my luck. By the way, that was a donation. I'm going to resend that donation alert so that he gets that GIF. It's always I'm going to have to start moving this stuff over because this is just ridiculous sometimes. But we're looking at a team that reports something last night way before anybody else reports it. Way before anybody else reports it. Bernard Mims, good to see you in the chat. But way before anybody else reports it, the Falcons social media reports it themselves. Puts it in themselves. Which says something. The organization knows best. And they want their sources and they want their breaking news to come through their own media sources first. They don't want outside figures figuring out what's going on with the Atlanta Falcons organization. And I thought that was key. That was one of the big things that we should all be talking about. We should all be talking about how the Atlanta Falcons social media account broke the news that Julio Jones is coming to camp. Which means that news was handed down immediately from head staff. Fire Falcon and General Lee, good to see you guys in the chat. But I thought it was just funny. I thought it was just funny to see that social media account break that first, and then everyone else like wildfire last night while most of Falcons Nation was asleep. Most of the grounders were asleep. Actually, there were quite a few grounders that were still awake, that were reporting on the news, watching me troll and meme all over Twitter because it's funny. It's funny to see those so-called fake Falcons fans, so-called Falcons fans, but they're fake. Those fans basically roll over in their graves. They wanted this drama, man. They wanted this drama. And we'll go ahead and get into that part now. The Julio Jones thing is done. It's over. We don't have to worry about that. A contract will be talked about. And we'll get the true numbers soon. And at I think it's 1:30 today, there's going to be an actual announcement, an actual press conference with Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff before they start camps. But what did I say, man? What did I say? The so-called Falcons fans that support this team. The so-called Falcons fans that were supporting this team, that were saying that, support the logo. We're hating on Matt Ryan for getting a big contract, blaming Matt Ryan for Julio Jones's woes, blaming Sarkisian for Julio Jones's woes, saying this, which I thought was just incredibly ignorant, saying that Atlanta as an organization does not play prominent players who are black, which made my head spin. George Yanez, good to see you in here, man. Make sure you join the Facebook group, Unintentional Grounding, the Falcons Nest. But Falcons fans blaming Sarkisian, blaming Shanahan, blaming Dan Quinn, blaming Matt Ryan, saying that Julio Jones needs to be paid and that Arthur Blank and the front office do not pay top black players on this team, just made my head spin. I literally had to hold my head and put a thermometer in my ear and my mouth to make sure that I wasn't running a fever and going crazy because I just saw this on TBN. What's going on, Waterboy Report? We need to get together and talk some WWE and New Japan. I'm actually going to turn around after this and go on Facebook and go do a live stream, and then I'm going to go watch, I think G1 was today, so we're going to be watching some G1. So definitely tune in there, and let's definitely hook up, Waterboy Report. I definitely want to talk with you and have something going on. That would be a lot of fun. And Kendrick Reed, good to see you in the chat, my friend. Rise up, stay grounded, my dude. But I'm not gonna say the R word. I'm not gonna say the R word that General Lee just brought up in the chat. You guys discussed that there. But man, oh man, if all of these big contracts to Freeman and Trufant and Robert Alford, if these big contracts to prominent black players on the team don't wave some really funny red flags to all Falcons fans, that anyone who's saying that R word or putting it as an undertone for their argument are complete idiots, well, yeah, we'll kind of be there. But this Julio Jones thing finally got to a head. It popped last night at close to 12. I'm sitting in bed. I had a couple of beers, eating a muffin, looking at my phone. News breaks, and I see half of Twitter that is still awake. That's Falcons fans. They all blow up. Julio Jones coming to camp. I see half of that half that's still awake saying about damn time, but those were the same people that were saying that the Falcons organization is trash for not paying Julio. And then the other half going to that quarter saying, you fans are idiots, and we've been telling you tranquilo the entire time. Go look up a GIF of Tetsuya Naito, tranquilo. He literally lays down, opens his eye with his fingers, beats his chest and points to the sky and goes, tranquilo. Tranquilo. Quiet. Calm down. Everything's okay. RELAX. Relax. So it'll be good to have Julio Jones, a happy Julio Jones back at camp, and mentoring Calvin Ridley, getting back into the brotherhood with Mohamed Sanu and Justin Hardy, who are going to have big years this year. They're going to have big years this year. I think they're going to be positive parts of this organization going forward. They're also going to be huge leaps and bounds from last year. It's going to be. I am incredibly excited to see 3 wide receiver sets or 2 wide receiver sets with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley on the field. Bernard Mims goes, I can't wait to hear 92.9 flip-flop on my way to work. Y'all, I should call into 92.9. I should call into 92.9 and go, for the last couple weeks, I've been hearing you say some crazy things. Some things that I don't think that you could defend on this radio station. Some things that might actually make you say some words that, you can't say on this station. But I'm just going to say this. Tranquilo. Asenayo. Calm, quiet, relax. There's no reason for any of us to have blown up about Julio Jones' situation when we knew that it was going to be positive. And I said it here. If I wasn't the first, then I was of a group of those handful that were saying, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. He'll report to camp. And of course, I played the narrative on a couple of my episodes about, if the Falcons have to, because I'm a guy that's more about the organization than the regular single player. I want players to get paid, but if it comes down to it, we'll have to trade Julio. I played that narrative a couple of times on this show, but I was never not 100% with any of the grounders or any of the people that pop into my show, whether they're Falcons fans or not. The Julio Jones situation was the biggest rug pull from underneath Falcons fans from 48 hours ago all the way until now that I think the Falcons organization and Julio probably are chuckling. Did you see Takk McKinley? Don't tell me any of you guys are not following Takk McKinley and didn't see his LOL in lowercase, period, the moment the news broke that Julio Jones was coming to camp. Takk McKinley's a troll, man, and I love it. I love it. I gotta have that man on my show. I want to hear some of the spicy takes he has. Just spicy, man. He doesn't even have to reply to me in the mic. He can just tweet his answers, his responses on Twitter while being on my show on video. I would absolutely die for something like that. I would just, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. But man, all the other Falcons players are like, this was just hilarious. This was just absolutely hilarious. And generally, I think that Takk McKinley will have a very positive year this year. He will have some work ahead of him, though. But teams will be keying on him a little bit more. But towards the ends of the season, I can see Takk McKinley just wrecking teams. Just wrecking them. So, with the Julio Jones situation out of the way, let's talk about Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff getting extensions into 2020. 2022, excuse me. 2022. What am I talking about? And so that means that player development, quality control, universally praised by defensive players who know Dan Quinn. The boys are back in town. That's all I can say. I wish I had a soundboard that could play that. I'd be like, the boys are back in town. Yeah. The boys are back. TD handling the cap and putting down the money where it needs to be to keep this team afloat and going out there and scouting for Dan Quinn. And Dan Quinn telling them exactly what he wants. Norman Fitzgerald, good to see you in the chat, my man. We are about to look at a team that has never been this productive. And man, Falcons fans whined and bitched about last year being a failure. When the year before we went to the Super Bowl and the year after that we went to the second round of the playoffs. I'm just saying that this team's scary. If it keeps being consistent like this as far as games are concerned, winning and losing, and getting to the playoffs? Shoot. This team will be in the hunt for several years. Several more years. Even with bigger contracts coming up, I bet a lot of the middle-class players that are on this team will get released, and some of that money won't be tied up as much. Look, man, I told y'all not to get too engaged with any particular player. Just root for him, man. Just root for him. Don't say you're my favorite player. None of that, because you don't know what's going to happen in 2019. 2018, I told you guys that 2018 would be one of the most pivotal years in Falcons drafting history, because it's going to show us the direction that this team is going, especially with Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff on limited deals. They get the extension, and I go, there it is. There it is right there. That's exactly where that team is going. I know exactly where they're about to go. They're going to go on the path of success. They're going to continue to grind out with the type of players that Dan Quinn wants to put in, the type of players that Sarkisian, if he stays around, wants to put in there. And the talent will continue to stack on top of itself. And don't be too upset if some players leave and we get compensatory picks for it. We get draft picks for it. We trade some players because we're just so talented. We have a lot of depth on the team. I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with having almost every position, B+ or more. You don't have to have it like that, but the way that this team is drafting, the way that this team is bringing in talent, the way that this team is performing, I like it. I like it. There's a lot of hate from the Panthers Nation, from the Saints organization, from the Bucks, from San Francisco fans. Man, there was a lot of hate everywhere around the NFL when they were talking about Julio Jones not reporting to camp. Aha, see, we told you your organization was going to fall apart sooner or later. Shoot. Here we are. Julio Jones, he's back. And they'll discuss a contract in 2019. But it's been pivotal to have Dan Quinn here. Remember, this is a great time to talk about the Mike Smith era. I haven't talked about this in quite a while. I've hated on him a little bit, but the truth is that player development under Mike Smith was at an all-time low. When you talk about Corey Peters, Jonathan Babineau, John Abraham, and who was the other end? Corey Bierman. That's who your defensive line was for the Atlanta Falcons. That was it. That was your line. Oh, Rashad Hageman, too. That was your defensive line. Now look almost 3 or 4 years later, and your line looks like this. The rest of the South started today in depression mode. Oh, get him. Get him, General Lee. But what a time to be a Falcons fan with the drama that we're having. Was that enough drama for you Falcons fans? Was that enough drama? I'm sick and tired of it. I'm done. I just want to see football. So we're on the countdown now. What do we got? Let me check my calendar. What do we got? Less than a week. Less than a week, and I will be in Atlanta at Flowery Branch. I hope to see some of you guys up there August 1st, August 2nd. It's going to be cool. I'm going to be wearing my unintentional grounding t-shirt. Got spicy at the end. Yeah, too spicy. Too many tempura flakes. Way too spicy. Fam. Dan Quinn getting this extension, and this is, like I was saying, this is the perfect time to talk about Mike Smith. Mike Smith out there doing what he did and developing little to no one. And turning around, and we have Dan Quinn, who's all about development. All about playing the youth guys. All about playing his guys, really, to be honest. That is a huge step forward in the whole process, and you can see the relief. You can see the relief on the face of Thomas Dimitroff when he goes out there and drafts, and he talks about drafting. Go look at old tapes from when Thomas Dimitroff and Mike Smith were coaching and doing stuff, when he was the GM for Mike Smith. And you could just tell the stress level was at an all-time high. His interviews, press conferences were some of the worst. Because the pressure, you could just tell And you could see in Thomas, you could see his hair getting white. And chat, can you give Anthony Wright the response here? What do Falcons do? Rise up. Can I get some rise ups in the chat, please? Give me some rise ups. But fam, the complete turnaround. The complete turnaround for Thomas Dimitroff, you could see he was aging with Mike Smith. Mike Smith's heart was just not in it anymore. He didn't want to develop players. He just wanted things to work. When he got fired, the whole organization, the whole fan base, they mourned. And there was a lot of people that didn't get over it. They were already hurt from losing a Super Bowl previous. And years of the Michael Vick, Bobby Petrino, and Jim Mora fiascos, the Dan Reeves, trying to get something to happen for this team, and it just never was happening. And Mike Smith bringing in some of these guys that obviously were going to be trendsetters in the NFL, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. And let's not forget that Robert Alford and Desmond Trufant were also Mike Smith guys as well. But we have little to no Mike Smith guys left. And that is because a lot of those drafted talents were wasted with their time with the team. And Dan Quinn wanted guys, knew that he had a deficiency calling offense plays or getting an offense to work. So he brought in Kyle Shanahan, a know-it-all, a guy that was very knowledgeable. I don't mean know-it-all in a bad sense, more in a Shanahan respected Dan Quinn. That's why he came here. And Dan Quinn respected Shanahan. And he said, I want to learn off of you because I know that I don't have the smarts to be able to do this and I need to learn more. That's the evolution of a coach. Can we just for a second think about that? Can we just for a second think about that? Everybody in the chat, just all 10 people or 11 people watching right now, can we just think about this for a second? Dan Quinn is a brand new head coach. He's only been coaching for 2-3 years now as a head coach. He's been a defensive coordinator everywhere else, an assistant to Nick Saban, an assistant in San Francisco. And he took a team that had talent on it, got rid of the sacrificial golden cows, brought in his guys, turned a team around from, 6-10, 4-12, into an 8-8 team with a defense that actually looked decent. And then the next year, right after that, as a second-year head coach, took a team to a Super Bowl. Just think about that for a second. Hope nobody's high. I don't want to blow their minds. But holy smokes. No pun intended. Look at that. He took a team that was literally nothing. It had some pieces, but it didn't really have anything to be able to really go on, and took it 1 year to develop some players, took a second year with a second-year draft class, and took them to the Super Bowl. Took them to the Super Bowl. And almost won it. And then turns around in his third year of being a head coach. They go 11-5 and make it to the second round of the playoffs and lose to the Super Bowl champions. Away. Not home. Away. That's brilliant. You can't ask anything more from a coach to be able to rally guys together, to be able to bring in quality talent and develop it, and to be able to give you wins when it matters. No season under Dan Quinn has been a waste. And extending him was one of the smartest moves, not a long-term contract, but extending him on the short term allows for Dan Quinn to continue to grow. Go, all right, I got an extension. I don't have to worry. I just need to go out there and perform and do my duties. And Dan Quinn's a young guy, talented, brilliant mind. I wish I could sit down with him for 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes of your time. Can I show you a couple plays? Can you break these down with me? Can you make me smarter? just from sitting here listening to you talk about this kind of stuff and how your philosophies work. I would absolutely cry. I'd have to wipe the tears away and then be like, okay, tell me more. Maybe I'm just that sensitive. Mega Noob, I haven't seen Ready Player One, but I am excited to sit here. I think it's on Netflix already. Sit here and watch Ready Player One. I think that would be cool. So I've run out of coffee. This is supposed to be a morning coffee session, and I've run out of coffee because the Julio Jones thing made me really thirsty, parched in my mouth every time I talk about it. Yeah, it's just strange to see the way the Falcons organization is moving along, and it's really strange to see how the Falcons organization has moved from this point. So that's kind of my 2 cents. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the Facebook group and go ahead and do my live show there. And then turn around and watch the whole day. What is it? Day 6 now? Day 6 of the G1? Something like that. B block action, I think. A block action. Something like that. It's B block action because Kenny Omega's in it. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay grounded. Rise up. It's your boy, Lieutenant Dan. Here with another morning coffee session. And I hope that you guys enjoy the first day of training camp tomorrow. We will have a show 8:30 p.m. Eastern time to discuss more Falcons talk, and hopefully our internet works a little bit better. Take it easy, and you're listening to nothing but the facts and the truth from your boy here, Lieutenant Dan.